Welcome to the Right Now Show. This show is all about inspiring our generation, people in their 20s, to go out and actually go for your dream, to find out what your purpose and your mission in life is. And I know that you listening, you are capable of so much more than you can possibly imagine. And I want you to go out and I want you to make that happen. And on this show, we're going to bring on people that have inspired us, that are absolutely just crushing it in life and have overcome insane odds. And this show is called The Right Now Show because the only thing that is truly real is this moment. Let's get into the show.
All right, welcome to The Right Now Show. We got Drew, we got Jake, we got Ace here today.
Hello.
We're probably going to get pretty deep, I think.
I'm down.
Our last pod was all about shit stories, but this one's probably going to be a little bit more serious.
That was a good one, man.
Good warm-up.
It was a good warm-up, yeah. First topic I want to hit on is, well, first of all, Jake, do you think you're humble?
Is that the first topic?
That's the first topic.
Okay.
Humble in which way? Just like in general?
Yeah.
I don't know.
All right.
I'm trying.
Answer.
It's a day-to-day process.
Sure.
Quick question. When somebody talks to you, do you think of responding to them before, or do you listen?
I got to be better at actively listening,
Yeah.
but I try my best.
That's like one of the things about being humble that I've always learned is people that are humble tend to, and I'm not saying you are or aren't, but people that are humble tend to want to continue to learn, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like with training, I'm assuming you train a lot, so I'm assuming you're a pretty humble person when it comes to training. You're going to listen to what somebody has to say, especially if they're like an authority figure in whatever they do.
Oh, I'll give you an example. Today, when I was training, it was it's a 1.3 mile loop on the bike ride, and I was probably at like mile 20, so like halfway. And this other dude on a bike who looked like he was on like a speed bike, wearing all the gear and stuff. He looked like he knew what he was doing. I was following him, and I ended up passing him, but he came up behind me, and he was like, hey, he's like, your left leg is going out. He's like, you want to bring that left leg in so you're aerodynamic and you're actually using all of your muscle.
Yeah.
Instead of saying, okay, dude, and then just leaving, like I asked him questions. I was curious, and I was like, you know what? It's probably because my hip flexor is tight. I'm like, all right, I'll keep that in line. And guess what? When I did, and I was aware of it, I biked a lot better.
Sure.
So, I mean, in that regard, yeah, I would say I'm humble. Like, I'm not going to be, if someone is going to tell me that I'm doing something wrong, I'm not going to say, oh, fuck you. Like, no, I'm not. Like, I'm going to listen. I'm going to be open-minded.
Definitely. No, the reason I bring it up is because, we're all physically fit, decent looking. We can, do things that most people can't. So in some cases, it's probably hard for us to be humble. When we're running 50-mile races or about to do an Ironman or going on American Ninja Warrior, sometimes, our ego might get the best of us. That's the reason I bring it up.
100%. Well, because we didn't start out like this.
No.
At all.
Yeah.
Like, I just did a 2-mile swim yesterday. But if I ran 2 miles 2 years ago, I would have been absolutely dead. I was like the hardest thing for me. So just like going from something like where I wasn't able to do this and then going to something where, the progression is a lot different. So it's hard to handle sometimes. Like in your own mind, the ego, it's hard to handle.
Exactly.
For sure. Yeah, definitely. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure you are, going through the same things too. I mean,
What?
just like not many people are sign up for 100-mile races. And
Bro, I'll be straight with you. Like, when it comes to training and just talking about it and all that stuff anymore, like, honestly, I don't even enjoy it. Like, outside of, like, the small circle of, like, people here. But, like, I really don't like talking about it anymore. Because I feel like I just get asked the same shit every single time. And I'm like, bro, like, it's nothing against them, but I don't even enjoy talking about it anymore. Like, I would rather just shut up and just do my work in silence, and that's it.
yeah, I can understand that.
You know
for
what
sure.
I mean?
Yeah.
And that's where I feel like I personally perform best. So I don't have to tell everyone every day, oh, I trained today. Like, give me a cookie. Like, I don't give a fuck, dude. I just want to do my thing and just kind of be left alone.
Yeah, actually, it's a great point. I was at the cornhole tournament that they have at the Hickses.
Sure.
Everyone there, I mean, they all know that like social medias and stuff. They were all asking me like all about the Ironman shit. I did not want to talk about it because it's just over and over and over again. I'm like
Yeah.
saying the same things, and it's just like. And this one dude, when your response was great, where we asked you in a video of why you're like, what are you doing this for, and you said there's just unlimited answers. It's a lot. I can't name them all. Like I can give you some,
Yeah.
but there's just it's for life, really. And this one dude asked me there, and I literally said the same thing. I'm like, there's so many answers I can give you. Like I don't know. Just like there's so many.
Yeah, I mean, because it's a lot deeper than just, well, I'm doing it for this person. I'm doing it because, you know, I didn't run before and now I ran. It's like I'm done with it.
Self-accomplishment.
It's
A lot
way
of people
deep.
say that.
It's a lot deeper than what's on the surface, you know. Like initially last year was a big thing for me for the 50 with like my grandmother and everything. And I took a lot of pride in that, but it's like, you know, I did that part of my life came and went. And now it's kind of just like, just training for life, dude, you know. I enjoy it, and it'll make hard situations down the road that much easier. You know, I'll be callous to it. I'll be prepared. You know, because it's like if I just stay ready, I'll never have to get ready. So it's kind of just finding a different level of like, almost kind of just like I need to keep elevating like my maintenance, so to speak. You know, because like what was really hard at one time is like now.
Your standard.
It's not my standard, and I'm just gonna keep upping that as time goes on. You know.
Yeah.
You had said something when we ran a few weeks ago, and it is what you just said now, and I'm going to butcher the way you say it, but you said you stay ready so that way you don't have to get ready if the situation calls for it. And that's essentially like so many people ask me at the age of 40, why do I do the stuff that I do? Especially guys that I grew up with. You know, most of them have dad bods and all of that, and they're looking towards almost like retirement age, actually. And for me, it's always stay hungry and always get better, continual preparation. And that's why I push myself physically and mentally through all the things I do. And I never heard it said that way before. Stay ready. That way you don't have to prepare, you know, because you're already prepared.
Yep.
And I learned that one time at the age of 38, 39, I finally got over my fear of guns, because I grew up in California where guns were evil, guns kill people, and all of that upbringing. And so I had a firearm, but I never used it. I wasn't very comfortable around it. And so I did a weekend training where we shot, in 24 hours, we shot 1,000 rounds. If anybody shoots 1,000 rounds while being trained in 24 hours, you're gonna learn how to handle a gun pretty easily. And that fear is, we just push through it. And there was a story that was told during that trip about a guy who had a wife and 2 daughters, and somebody came in and essentially tied up his wife and his daughters, and he came home from work and he got tied up and thrown in the basement with all of them. Well, long story short, the people that were there raped and eventually killed his wife, raped the children, and set the house on fire. He got knocked out during the whole process. He was able to, like, you know, get himself out there and crawl through a window and all that. He survived. Well, his wife and his 2 children, after being raped over and over again, burnt to death in the house. And so he went around the country. This was like, I think back in the 90s or something, went around the country as the victim. Like, woe is me. Like, I lost my wife. I lost my children to these like psychopaths. And he got sympathy from the country, going on Oprah and all this shit. And we were talking about this during that gun training, and it was just like, no, the guy's a fucking piece of shit. Like, when I get remarried and have kids, I'm going to do everything I can to protect them. What should have happened is he should have gone home, realized there was something wrong happening, and took action. Even if he got tied up or something like that, he should have been able to at least figure something out instead of just escaping. And so after that and the training from learning how to use a firearm, why do I do this training? I do this training for the 0.0001% chance that something might happen. I might be called to action at some point. They say when the student is ready, the teacher will appear, right?
Yep.
If you're ready, if you're keeping yourself physically fit, if you're keeping yourself mentally sharp, if you're keeping yourself dangerous in a good way as a man, well, God has a way of presenting those situations because he's not going to give you something you can't handle. And I'd rather be the person that takes action, even if I end up getting shot and killed. At least I was not a sheep. You know?
There's a really good quote where I might butcher it, but it's basically, I'd rather be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. Like, I think us as men, we need to keep ourselves physically fit, physically, mentally sharp, and be able to handle a firearm or a knife
Yep.
or anything. Because, like, honestly, when I think of the future family I'm going to have, I would probably kill myself if I was in that situation and I escaped,
Oh my God. Yeah.
knowing there was something I could have done,
Absolutely.
but I didn't prepare for it. But meanwhile, this guy goes around the country getting
Sympathy.
sympathy.
And
for
he
being a
left the
victim.
house when his children were still in there.
Yeah, the girls were tied up on the bed,
Yeah.
and then they lit
And he
the house
decided
on
to leave
fire.
and escape.
Yeah. Yeah. Freaking nuts.
Unbelievable.
Remarried, has new kids, a new family.
What the fuck?
Yeah. It's crazy, right?
Yeah.
I'm not making this shit up. I know that's such an anomaly, such a small percentage, but that can happen.
Our society is creating weak men. That's a coward.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. Yeah, we just saw the Sound of Freedom yesterday. Last
Oh,
night.
did you?
Yeah.
I want to talk about that too.
Oh,
Yeah. No, for sure.
that's a tough one. Man.
And at the end of the movie, I don't know, have you seen it yet?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. At the end of the movie, they said they made it 5 years ago, and they had to go get around a bunch of legal, things just to get it out. I don't know why.
Disney owned the rights. They actually had to buy it from Disney because Disney just shelved it. They went to Netflix. Netflix turned them down. They went to everybody, so they just funded it themselves.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that made my blood boil.
Yeah.
The
You
whole
know,
time I was
yeah,
just
whole
angry,
time, dude.
angry. But like what I was thinking, I'm like, this is just a movie. But the problem is, I mean, it was based on a true story, which I didn't know watching it. While I was watching it, I didn't know it was true.
Yeah.
But the fact, like, I was so angry because I knew, like, this is like way worse than what people think in real life.
Yep.
This is happening right now.
Everywhere, too, in the U.S.
In it's the
Pennsylvania.
worst places, the United States.
Yep.
Yeah.
And people are like ignorant to it.
Mm-hmm.
When I went to a training in Texas for an organization that I work for, a nonprofit, Operation Rescue Children, where but the organization trains special forces, police officers, things like that, to become more capable to take down sex trafficking and things like that. A lot of these guys work on the Texas border and stuff like that. And while we were there for that event, one of the guys who was supposed to come and talk had to cancel last minute because he got called on assignment that day because the FedEx man stole a little girl somewhere in Texas within a couple hours of where we were. And it was the FedEx guy that just kept, delivering mail day in and day out. And he just snatched this little girl in a suburban neighborhood. I think she was like 9 years old. They found her a couple days later, and she was obviously raped and killed. But yeah, it happens all over. It's not just, kids from, like in the movie, foreign countries getting shipped in here, which happens all the freaking time. They were freaking shipped in shipping containers. Like,
Yeah.
freaking
And that's
kidding me.
very real too.
Yeah.
Like that's not Hollywood. That's how they do shit.
Yeah.
It's very inhumane, and it's a problem that unfortunately keeps growing as well, because like we saw at the end, it's a very profitable business for people that are in it. And
Yeah, because you can sell cocaine one time and then it gets used up, and you can sell a child, unlimited amount of times. which is super fucked up.
It's a $150 billion a
That's what it said. Yeah.
year industry. 150 billion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How they know that, I have no idea, but that's crazy. But
I can tell you how
But
they know
like
it.
that movie is a wake up call to all the parents
yeah,
because like we were talking about before the podcast when I go biking on these roads, all these like there's parents like adults with kids, and they're just letting their kids run around everywhere without any situational awareness whatsoever.
yeah,
And this happens in public as well. When parents are out in public, they're just letting their kids roam around, letting them do whatever. They're not really paying attention. And guess what? They get snatched up.
yeah,
And that's another reason why, as a person, but especially as a man, you need to be physically capable.
yeah. I was just gonna say
Because,
that,
dude, you ever, I don't know about you, if I ever catch a motherfucker trying to take a kid,
That's the end of his life right there.
Yep.
someone's got.
And it's not even just him.
Someone's got.
There
pay.
are women that do this too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Insane.
Yeah.
Someone's got to pay, man. But yeah, that was
But
very
it-
powerful.
It's a very good
eye-opening.
movie.
Yeah.
Very good movie. Yeah, very, very
Yeah.
eye-opening.
Sound of Freedom. Definitely go check it out. But yeah, I mean, as a man, you got to be the best you can possibly be, because anything can happen. You know what I mean? So think about that when you're working out. You know, this could be way bigger than you. You could save someone's life because you're capable.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Especially in areas like where we live. Like we joke about it, like, oh, we're from Bangor, like what happens in Bangor, right? But who knows what the fuck's happening in Bangor though?
What do you, dude?
know?
There was the biggest, what was it, a meth bust in the country in Bangor. Remember that on 191, that meth house?
Yeah.
Had a meth,
yeah.
had a whole
Yep.
meth lab in the side of a mountain.
Just chilling.
Yeah, the largest in the country. In Bangor.
Never would have known.
No, no.
Yeah. I do remember that now. That's crazy.
But it's, man, there's all these people today, like what society is creating. It's just all these weak people, all these weak men, and creating just hard times. I love that quote, you know, strong men create good times, but then weak men create bad times.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's,
Create
the,
hard
it's the
times.
endless cycle.
Yeah.
Weak men create hard times create good men create good times create weak men, and it just keeps happening.
Yeah. And it's
Well,
our job to
yeah.
spread this. It's our job to make sure that other people are doing this, other men
Yeah.
are doing this, but it's really frustrating when
For
you
sure.
when you see other people not caring.
No, definitely.
It's complicated times we're in, dude. And it keeps getting more complicated because, like, we can sit here and talk about this, and people will look at us like we are absolutely insane. Like, you want to be physically fit? You want to take care of your family? Like, it's so out of the norm, where it used to just be the standard. Like, you're a man, you take care of yourself, you take care of your family. That's what you did. And now it's like, bro, I can't tell you how many times I get made fun of just because I work out and I eat good. Like, well, don't you ever enjoy yourself? I'm like, dude, I enjoy eating ground beef and rice. Leave me alone. like it's,
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I definitely hear what you're saying, but there's
Yeah.
there's definitely an uprise in, you know, people working out, people actually being fit, people working on their self-development. There's definitely an uprise in it. I see it. I mean, we're sitting at this table. There's a lot more of us, but it is our job and other people's job, you know, to make that actually happen, to bring awareness to the situation.
yeah, I mean, it's the only way you're going to break the cycle, you know?
So I'm curious about your answer, Ace, where you were saying like about that story with the husband leaving their kids and the wife behind when they got killed. And you were saying how, you know, you got to be prepared for everything, even if it's that 0.0001% of that happening.
Right.
If someone were to ask you, like, well, what about that 99.9999% of the other of part of your life? Like, how are you going to enjoy it if you're only focused on that 0.00001%? What would you say?
Yeah. Well, Jocko Willink talks about this, and he says when you stay disciplined, you actually have more freedom. And it sounds so counterintuitive, but when I read that for the first time, I was just like, man, that's so true. Because in my life, when I'm more disciplined, when I'm getting up at 4:30, 5:30 in the morning, and I'm hitting the gym hard, I'm doing my freaking cold showers, I'm reading my Bible, I'm journaling every morning. When I'm staying really regimented in what I do, everything else kind of opens itself up. Like the healthier I am right now with working out and eating well, the better my health is going to be. I'm not going to have to rely on medication or doctors or anything else that happens to people. Like I'm able to run like right now at the age of 40, I'm more physically fit than I was when I was in my 20s. Like all I did in my 20s was drink, chase tail, and go to my W-2 job. And I was absolutely miserable. I didn't realize it at that time, but I hated my life. I hated who I was becoming. I hated who I looked like in the mirror. And looking back at photos, you know, I don't shame that person. I feel sorry for that guy because he just didn't get it. Like he was trying, but he didn't know what the key to life was. And the key is to stay disciplined, to be regimented in what you do day in and day out. And the thing is, like, it doesn't really take away from my life. I just get up before everybody else does and get that shit out of the way. You know?
Yeah.
I have a lot more clarity. I sleep better. I feel a lot better. I'm able to do so many more things than most people do because they don't have the energy levels that I have.
Yeah. You also have physical freedom too. Like you can do whatever the fuck you want to do. You want to climb mountains, you want to go run a marathon, you can do all that stuff.
Yeah.
Which is liberating, you know?
That's what really makes me
Yeah.
fucking really mad when
Yeah.
someone who's 50, 60, they were like, "Oh, I wish I could be young again and be able to do all the things you're doing."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Hey, I saw a 75-year-old cross the finish line of an Ironman sprinting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't tell me that you wish you can be younger again because that motherfucker did it. He's 75. That's ridiculous."
And I bet when they were our age, they weren't doing it anyway.
No,
So
exactly.
what's it matter?
Yeah.
You know.
But yeah, I love what, you know, discipline equals freedom. That's a motto I live by. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a very good one. Jocko's the fucking man.
Yeah. If y'all don't know who Jocko is, please check him out.
Good.
Extreme Ownership, that
Yeah.
book, amazing.
For sure. Ace has a book too. It's called Superhero by Design. It's kind of about what we're talking about discipline. It's about the nervous system, how to wire your nervous system so you can, you know, operate the most efficiently. So
Do you have my
shout out to
copy?
him.
I do.
Yes, sir.
It's right over there.
There we go.
Right over there.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, no, that's kind of when I was in this search because at the beginning of the book it talks about where I was in my personal life and everything was going to shit
Yeah.
pretty quickly, but you don't realize it. You just see, you know, okay, my life isn't that bad, but everything's kind of lukewarm. My relationship with my wife at the time wasn't great. You know, my relationship with my friends weren't that great. My businesses were kind of all over the place, not very consistent. I was overweight. I was going to the gym, but I wasn't happy with the results. Like, I was just pissed. I was like, man, I'm working my ass off every day. I'm providing for my family, yet my marriage isn't doing well. I don't physically look like I'm doing anything well, you know, and my diet was all over the place, right? It's like, fuck, how many salads do I have to eat? But then I don't think about how much ice cream or candy I'm eating at the same fucking time,
Yeah.
right? And so what I realized through that whole thing, because I was never taught any of this, and I would play the victim, right? Oh, well, it's this person's fault or that, make excuses. Oh, I work too much. That's why I don't have time to work out and all this and that.
Mhm.
And thankfully, she came up to me and was like, dude, if you don't get your shit together, like, we're done. And that was the wake up call I needed. Because also, by not being in control of all those things, I was a fucking pussy in my life. Like, I had no backbone. I had no spine. I couldn't stand up for myself to my clients, to business partners, to my wife. Like, I was like just getting tossed around by life because I was allowing it to happen.
Mm.
And that's the biggest change that happened since then, as I finally said enough is enough. And if you start doing things every day for yourself, working out, eating well, meditating, yes,
Sleep.
consistent sleep, yeah, not just fucking going to bed watching Netflix go on till like midnight or past, you know, like being disciplined.
Yeah.
It's a game changer for anything. I'm not saying you have to be completely militant throughout your life and be like this emotionless robot,
No.
but you need to start putting things just certain, because whether we realize it or not, we all have habits. Most of the habits we do every day, 70+% are unconscious habits. So you're doing it already. You might as well put the hard work in on the front end and wire these unconscious habits. Like if I miss the gym now, like I'm frustrated.
Yeah.
My whole day is off. And yeah, every time I go to the gym, I'm not like the most excited, like, yeah, I'm going to really like kill myself today. Like this is
It
awesome.
is never like that.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's a lifestyle now. And it's worse if I don't go.
Yeah.
Because also at the same time, when you do push yourself like that, shoot, I think I got a PR on a deadlift the other day.
Yeah, you did.
And I was just like, holy shit, I didn't know I could lift that much.
I'm not gonna lie. The
Sweet.
first time you did it, and like you tried to lift it, I'm like, he's probably not gonna get it. And then you went up and you actually did it. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
So that was dope, bro. I was happy to see that.
But yeah, no, that's really what that book is about, is just the key to taking control of your life and having a life worth living is just daily discipline. That no matter what you do,
Yep.
if you want to do anything great in your life, if you want to be the master of your life, you have to be disciplined.
For sure. The thing is, people talk about it, and they talk about it just like Drew. I know you had a piece of content that I just saw.
Yeah.
I think it was about a year ago exactly, but people just keep talking about it and they just never do it. And they actually want to do it, but they just can't get out of their own way, and they get stuck in the matrix. They get stuck in Netflix. They get stuck in drugs and alcohol and weed and eating the shit food, and they just can't get out, and they want to get out. Like, what advice do you have to tell those people?
Well, for me, like I said, it took my ex-wife coming up to me saying she was going to leave me for me to get my shit together.
Right.
It probably wouldn't have happened. I would have just continued that cycle over and over and over again.
Right.
So something has to break that.
Mm.
And usually people call it rock bottom, right? Usually it's till shit gets so fucking bad
Yeah.
that they're forced to make a change. I would say for people that aren't in that situation but want to make a change, just you can do little things, right? If you want to get fit, well, just go walk around the block.
Mhm.
Like anybody can walk around most people can walk around the block. It's not that difficult. Just start that momentum. Do just something little. If you want to read more, just read a page. I know everybody can read a page a day.
Except for Helen Keller.
True. The 0.0001%. But yeah, I would just say just do that, or at the same time, change your environment. We all rise or fall to the expectations of our peers.
Yeah.
Like when you served, like they talk about this all the time, people that are in the military and like the people that really are badasses. So Marines, SEALs, people like that. When they're in that environment, man, they are just kicking ass, taking names, and then they do their service, they go home, and then they lower their standards. Why? Because they're not around that peer group anymore.
Yeah.
And they, on top of it, they're probably going back to usually the small town that they're from, where everyone they grew up with, for the most part, isn't doing anything with their lives. They all have kids and families, and they're working whatever job until they're done. And so they fall to the expectation of their peers. So find a new peer group.
Yeah, and sometimes that's tough too, to find a new peer group. But I mean, the advice would probably go to the gym, go to events, go to networking events, maybe go to something like a Tony Robbins seminar, because you'll meet those people that are purpose driven. But yeah, I mean, question for everyone at home that's listening: like, who are those 5 people? Like, write them down, because you're gonna be the average of those 5 people that you just wrote down. Period.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's your future too.
Yeah.
That's your future.
And I think, obviously, we're really big on the reason why. Why do you want to do that? So, what is the reason why? And just like the Mission Mindset Adventure event, start with the end in mind. After you're sitting on your deathbed, what do you want your life to have meant?
Yeah.
What did you experience? Who were you? What man did you become or woman did you become in that life?
I call it the rocking chair analogy. I see myself on a porch, like on land.
Yeah.
And I see, like, I'm there as an old man just rocking in my rocking chair. And what do I see? I see my wife next to me.
Mm-hmm.
I see my kids and their kids running around the field. And I'm just like sitting there just like, this is my kingdom.
Right.
This is what I created.
Mm.
So when I make decisions in my life now, I'm like, okay, does it get me closer to that or does it take me farther away?
Right.
Something like pot, alcohol, things like that, that actually takes me away from that dream.
Mm.
You know, I was a pretty heavy drinker for 20 plus years.
Yeah.
Like I look back, there was never a story that I was like, oh man, drinking last night made my life so much better. Like, okay, there's fun stories, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Going up to girls that I would never talk to, things like that, just being ridiculous. But there was never a time that like alcohol actually made my life better and got me closer to my goals.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so when you look at your life and the decisions you make, it's as easy as just saying, does this decision take me down the path I want to go down, or does it take me down a different path?
Yeah.
Kind of going back to exactly discipline equals freedom. Basically, like when you live your life, is it long-term pain for long-term gain? If you understand what that means. Basically, if you're going to be, you have to put in the pain to actually live with how you want to live. And I think people are searching for that instant gratification all the time, that instant dopamine
Well, yeah,
hit.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I would rather live like a life where, like, yeah, it sucks for now, but in the long run, it's ultimately going to get me to that rocking chair, looking at my whole family, everything that I created.
Yeah.
Whereas if I'm just, like you said, alcohol, weed, whatever it is, that instant gratification, like, yeah, it's fun for the short term, but guess what? Not for the long term.
Yeah.
It's not going to work.
Yeah. Yeah. I like to follow the motto, hard work, easy life, easy work, hard life. So if you're doing the hard work, and as Anthony Truck says, what does he call the dark work? You know, what are you doing before people wake up? What are you doing after they go to sleep?
Yeah.
Like that's the work that nobody sees. Talk to anybody who's done anything worthwhile in their life, whether they're rich or famous, an actor, or great at sports or what have you.
Yeah.
It's that dark work that they put in that nobody sees. People
Mhm.
think they're, you know, what do they call it? Like overnight successes. There's no such thing as an overnight success. They don't see
Yeah.
the years of dedication, of hard work that those people put in.
Yep.
And so, but, you know, that's how I choose to live my life now. And it's easy for me to compare it to at the age of 40 because I look at all my friends that are 40 and shit, they look 15, 20 years older than me.
Yeah.
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 It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
It happens fast.
For sure. I don't know about you guys, but I kind of love the pain.
Yeah.
Like, we enjoy what we do at the end of the day. It's not like you're just going to war every single day and you hate every second of it. You like it, right? You like swimming. It's a brutal battle.
Well, I told you I didn't
But-
like it at first. I
Yeah.
hated it. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm dreading this day. Like, I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
But guess what? Over 7-8 months
Yeah.
of doing it, I hated it. Guess
Right.
what? I love it now.
Yeah, now it's your favorite
Now it's
out
just
of the three.
now it's yeah.
Exactly.
I actually love
Yeah.
swimming now.
So like after you go and you suffer for a while, you kind of learn to love it.
Mm-hmm.
You love the pain. Like we're addicted to pain.
Mm-hmm. You also you get better at what you do over time.
Absolutely.
And as you get better, you definitely have that gratification of,
Yep.
oh, okay, I can do this
It
now.
pays
I'm doing
off.
good.
Yep.
Well, think of it this way. When I taught myself how to snowboard when I was a kid, I hated snowboarding, but it was what all my friends did. And so I would go every season and I'd get a little bit better, but I hated it.
Yeah.
Like I did not find snowboarding fun, but I wanted to be doing what my friends did. Well, I love snowboarding now. So it wasn't even something that
Mhm.
that was painful.
Right.
Well, I guess it kind of was painful, but you know, you get what I'm saying. It's
Yeah.
something that's supposed to be fun.
Yeah.
And the whole learning part of it was fucking brutal.
Mm-hmm.
But now I love it and I'll snowboard until I can't anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But I think with things that are hard and hurt, you kind of have to change your perspective on it. Because so many people, like when I first started taking cold showers, in my mind, I was like, now I'm losing the ability to take a nice warm shower and get all the relaxation that you get from a nice hot warm shower, you know, the muscle relaxing, calming my body down, all of that. And I was like, I'm like, well, why am I focused on what I'm losing? Why don't I focus on what I'm actually gaining?
Yeah.
We tend to focus on what we lose. You know, eating well. Now you lose the ability to eat hamburgers and ice cream and all that shit,
I'm
all
still
that
eating
sugar, right?
burgers.
I still don't. Just being 80% consistent.
Yeah.
That's all it takes. You can still enjoy those things.
No, that's true.
You know?
Yeah.
But instead of thinking of what you're losing, think
Sure.
of what you're gaining.
No, I get the point.
know?
Yeah, no, I
Absolutely.
totally get it.
Like I think people too much focus on what's lost by giving something up rather than what they're actually going to gain.
Right.
Yeah.
And like you said, you don't have to be a freaking robot and do everything exactly how it is and how it should be at 100% of the time. You just have to be 80 to 90% consistent.
Yeah.
That's all it is. Like, you don't have to do a cold shower every day for the rest of your life. You don't have to.
You can still take hot showers at night. That calms your
Ex-
body down. That gets you ready
exactly.
for sleep.
Exactly.
So do the cold in the morning. Get that dopamine and that adrenaline going. Then at the end of the night, take the nice hot bath with the
That's
Epsom
the only way
salts
it's going
and
to be
the-
sustainable. People are always jumping
rubber.
in to doing something,
Yeah.
doing the most.
Yeah. That's a good
And-
point.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people, they listen to this and they want to go all in.
hmm
Like, yeah, and then
And they last a week.
not even
Yeah.
a day.
Yeah.
They go for one run, they tire themselves out, and then they're done the next day. They never want to do it again. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's
Or
such
they
a bad
they
experience.
make a full week of chicken breast and broccoli,
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. That's
which I love both of those things, by the way.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm a huge chicken.
Because
broccoli
we
fan.
do these things so we can have better experiences, so we can reach the top of the mountain and get that accomplishment. That's why we do these things, so we
Yeah.
can experience more and get more fulfillment out of life.
Mhm.
That's why we do it.
Yeah, it's like I'm not, I'm not eating steak and eggs and that's it every day.
Yeah.
That's not how, or like
That'd be
fruit,
pretty
rice.
awesome.
It
Though.
sounds pretty
I'd-
good.
Yeah.
It's good. You enjoy it. You start to learn how to enjoy it, but I'm not doing that every day. It's not sustainable
Yeah.
for anyone. It really isn't sustainable. You need to learn how to enjoy the little things as well. But
For
just
sure.
being consistent. That's
Yeah.
what people can't do.
hmm
I'm reading this book. It's called The One Thing. And it's about prioritizing that one thing in that moment of time
Yeah.
and only accomplishing that one little thing.
Mm.
And it creates a domino effect. So if you look at a little piece of domino, then you put another piece, double the size in front of it, double the size, double the size, double the size. You keep going. You just do that one little thing. Guess what? That domino is going to fall over. And it's going to hit the other one. And guess what? The other one's going to fall over.
Yeah.
It's going to fall over, fall over. If you look at a 2x4 and you put a 2x4, I think it's about like 6 inches or whatever, and you do that 27 times. So there's 27 other ones, but you keep doubling it.
hmm
If you hit that and it keeps going to 27 times, it's the equivalent to reaching Mount Everest
Yeah.
in height, just from a small 2x4.
hmm
But people are trying to climb Mount Everest right away, doing that whole thing all at
Yeah.
once.
For some reason, they think that they deserve
Mhm.
to get to the top without doing all the work.
All it takes is just that one
Yeah.
thing, one step at a time.
Sure. It's patient. You got to be patient.
Yeah.
Never heard that before. That was good.
It's a really good book.
Yeah, that's a good
Yeah,
one.
I love it. It's a great book.
Yeah, it's about focus, momentum, the
Mhm.
domino effect, the ripple effect.
Yeah. Well, it's also like if you think about to-do lists, if you make a to-do list for the day and say you have 10 things on there,
Sure.
I guarantee you out of those 10 things, 9 of them you don't have to do.
hmm
They're a could do,
Yeah.
but they're not a should do. So instead of making a to-do list, you make a success list. With
Mhm.
that success list, you narrow things down. There's an 80 to 20% rule.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've heard of this before. But
That's a big
basically,
business
20
term, yeah.
exactly, yeah, 20% of the effort that you make will create 80% of the actual results, the success that you want.
Yeah.
So you don't have to do all those little like everything all at once, like doing the things you could do. Just focus and prioritize on what was really the most important. And that's how you can, be successful with anything.
hmm
I agree, man. You build up momentum too.
I love how when everything gets silent, everyone always looks at me. They're like, "All right, Zach, what's the next topic?"
Well, you always ask the next thing.
I
So,
know.
All right, buddy.
I know.
Let's go. No, I think one of the things that I really struggled with now it's like one of my strengths, especially when just starting living the life the way I live it now, is patience. Because especially in today's society, it's so easy to get everything now, right when you want it. Literally in terms of everything, your freaking food, house, car, whatever,
Entertainment.
Netflix, you name it. But like, like good examples, like, I'm not shitting on Zach here, but it just always cracks me up. Like, if we're going on a run, just easy run. He's like, all right, what pace we hitting? I'm like, bro, it's not about pace. I'm like, just run easy, bro.
We talked about that.
Yeah.
We talked about it too.
I'm like, don't worry about it. But like this time last year, I would always think that. I'm like, easy run. I gotta hit this pace for my easy run. And I'm like, dude, it's almost counterproductive because then I want to keep running harder, and my body just gets more fatigued. I'm not actually making any progress. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But patience too, man. I understand how it's so easy to want everything now. Believe me, if I could make fucking $1 million rain from the ceiling right now, I'd do it. I get it, but you also have to be just a little realistic. Like, listen, nothing happens overnight, right?
Yeah.
There are no overnight successes. But if you're patient, you put in the time, put in the the effort, put in the work. Just trust everything will work out how it should be. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's funny when people ask me, like, how was training today? It was good.
Yeah.
What did you run? 15 miles? No.
No.
Like, that's not how it works.
that's not how it
I don't run
works.
15 miles every fucking day.
Yeah.
They're like,
Why
well,
not, Jake?
they're like, what?
I said, why not?
Oh man, that's not sustainable, sir.
Pussy.
Yeah, a little bit of a pussy. Just a little bit. But yeah, it's just those small steps, being patient. Like how I was talking with Ace when we go for a run, when we went for our run, like I said, I don't even care about time. But just like you said, don't even care about pace.
Never look at it.
I just for me, it's my heart rate. I want to keep at a certain point where I'm going to be sustainable at zone 2 and just sit there.
Yeah.
And you can go all day. That's how you build your real endurance. That's how you build the real base, the foundation.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's with anything. It's not just running. That's with anything.
Mm.
Yeah.
That is a good point. Wow.
If you go out too fast, you're just gonna burn out, right?
Yeah.
If you're just
exactly.
here, you can go a lot farther.
Mm-hmm.
So remember that.
Yeah.
bro.
What are some other examples for that?
That's
Just like working, right? I'm thinking like for me, like video editing. Like if I try to go all out, 100%.
yeah.
But if I just went like 60, 75%, I could last a lot longer, probably get more done.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
For sure. And it's not just that. Actually, the book I was talking about, the one thing, it goes over multitasking.
Yeah.
A lot of people think that we multitask as humans. It's not how our brain is work. That's not how we work. It's not how we function. We can't go focus on 2 tasks at one time. It's not how it works.
Unless if one's like super subconscious, like say running and listening to a podcast, you can do those too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but not to the fullest extent
Right.
to what you can do with just focusing on that one thing first.
Yeah.
So if you're multitasking on 2 things, say you're listening to a podcast, but you're also on
Driving.
on your phone, even driving. Exactly. That's actually a great example.
Yeah.
Like when you look at texting and driving, but you can't multitask. That's why most people will crash when they text. It's why a lot of car accidents happen.
Yeah.
And the thing is it's not even about, if you multitask, people think that you can get more done. It's not true. You will not get more things. You will get less done, and you will be less consistent with it, and less results will come from it. So what works is
Arguable.
no,
In some things, it's arguable.
absolutely not. Because when you have 2 things and you're focusing on those 2 things, you don't focus on both at the same time. You go from one task, then you focus on the other task, then you go on the other task and the other task. You go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
Yeah.
But you can be just focusing on one task for way less time with better results.
Right.
And then you take a little break, then you can go to the next task and do that for a shorter amount of time, and you get into a flow state. I don't know, we talked about, when you get into a flow state. You cannot be in a flow state when you're multitasking. You're thinking about multiple things.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's just not how it works.
No, I see the point.
I'll give another example. When I'm having sex and I want to last a lot longer,
Yeah.
I start thinking of other things
That's a great example, though.
that aren't sex
Yeah,
related.
think about your grandma. I bet you won't come. Or I hope you don't come.
Jeez.
I really hope you don't come.
Cut.
But it's a great example, though, because you can't multitask. A lot of people think we can. Even computers. Computers don't work at multitasking. They're just really good at going from one thing to the next, one thing to the next.
Yeah. I mean, my argument is I could drive from here to Florida and listen to 12 podcasts and learn a lot and drive at the same time.
You can, but guess what? Are you going to learn everything that you could compared to if you were just sitting there actually just listening and not driving?
I wouldn't listen to this podcast though. You know, if I wasn't driving that long.
No. Like if you're driving and listen to podcasts,
Yeah.
and you're trying to listen and understand and really like comprehend everything. Do you think you would learn more if you were just sitting on the couch and actually paying attention 100% to those podcasts?
You want my honest answer?
No.
I was being straight. What do you think, Drew?
I don't really know, dude. I feel like my opinion wouldn't really be valid because I truthfully don't do a lot of stuff that would be considered multitasking. Like when I train and stuff now, like I've completely cut out music over the last 6 months. Like I just focus on whatever the task is at hand.
Sure.
So I really don't. I guess the best example I could give is like if I'm like at work and I'm in the car and I'm going somewhere and like a call comes out, but even then, like it's not. I can still watch the road and drive while I key up on a radio. Like it's not that hard, but that's also that's a very simple little scenario there, you know.
Yeah, well, I mean, and the probability of you crashing your car compared to when you not doing that is elevated. It's increased, meaning you're distracted, and that's why people who text and drive are more likely to cause a car accident.
Yeah, but it's also not the same because like if I'm keying up on the radio, I'm not looking at something else until I'm off the road.
It is the same, except it's a lower risk. However, you're still distracted.
I guess, but I don't. I'm a really good driver.
I'm gonna go to another sex example if that's all right. All right. So
Yeah, buddy.
I had this fantasy. This was years ago. I had this fantasy of getting roadhead. I'm sure
buddy.
most guys.
I
have thought about
almost
that.
crashed my car because of that.
Exactly.
Going down a one-way.
It's happened. It's happened to me once, and I thought it would be amazing. And don't get me wrong, it felt really good.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I was just like, oh my God, you got to stop because we're going to crash and this is not safe right now. And yeah, it was.
But guess what? You're not even giving. You're receiving.
This
So
is
you're
it.
not even doing the
Yeah.
hardest part.
This is it, buddy.
You're not even doing the hardest part. You're only receiving and
Yeah.
driving. But guess what? It's still almost crash.
Yeah.
It's that distracting.
Well, she was driving as well. No, I'm kidding. No, I was driving. I was driving. But no, I'd have to agree with Jake over here on this one.
There's certain levels to it.
Yeah, I agree. Like if you're just focused on one thing, you put 100% of your focus on that, you're gonna grow way higher.
And
Right.
less
If
time.
you're dividing your focus, you know, you have 100% or maybe 70% of the focus on driving and 30% on listening to the podcast.
Mhm.
Yeah, you're more likely to get in a crash. Sure.
Yeah, but it's less time.
But-
It takes less time to be proficient in it. In that one thing.
So there's something called acetylcholine, which
It's a neurotransmitter.
essentially helps you. It's your focus neurotransmitter.
Yeah.
And I'm taking this from Andrew Huberman.
Love him.
He said that like when you focus on something, it's like a spotlight. You put your spotlight on something. And Huberman said you can multitask because with your brain, you actually have two spotlights. So you can focus on two things simultaneously, just like you can have a conversation while you eat.
Yeah.
However, something like eating doesn't take a whole hell of a lot of thought unless it's something that you're not used to eating, or else you'd probably choke on it. So you can multitask two things. However, I also agree with Jake. You're not going to get 100. It's not
Yeah,
like
I agree with
focusing on
that.
one.
So what
Yeah.
he's talking about is also with the autonomic nervous system, meaning it's completely like on its own, like breathing. If you were talking, like right now we're talking, did you really focus on your breath that entire time?
No.
No, your body just knows how to breathe, right? So that's considered multitasking. However, it's the autonomic nervous system, which has its own brain,
Yeah.
has its own reflexes to be able to actually make you breathe.
Sure.
So that's exactly what he's saying, though, is that.
Yeah.
And you can walk and chew gum at the same time.
I have a question. If there's someone like listening to this podcast and they're driving right now, should we tell them to turn it off?
Turn the podcast off.
Yeah.
I mean, if you
turn the car
want
off.
to, if you want to live, no. No, I mean, you might be more likely to get in a car accident, so just be careful out there. Wear your seatbelts.
It depends how into the podcast they are.
Yeah, they're probably just completely oh my God, Roadhead.
Holy shit, this
Daydreaming.
podcast.
Jake, when we're driving in the car, you better
Hello.
be driving in silence, bro. And I ain't talking to you. You better just be driving. That's all I'm saying.
I like living
the
life on the
fuck up.
edge, sir. I like living life on the edge. I kind of want to switch it up. I kind of want to go into
Yeah.
spiritual.
Okay.
Yeah, like I really,
What
because
do you
we
mean by spiritual?
just our progression with spiritual and what it means to us.
Yeah.
What is spiritual? What does it mean to you?
You want me to go first?
Sure, I think you would be the best one to go first.
What they say, age before beauty. So
Mm.
I win both categories.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Well, I think I said earlier about 2 years ago when my ex-wife came to me saying that she was going to leave. One of the things I wanted to work on was my spiritual life. I grew up atheist, and when my parents passed, I started to ask myself questions because unfortunately it took something like my parents passing away for me to ask deeper questions. I was one of those people that some believe there was God, but then at the same time I also believe that once we died, our brains were so smart that, it would just be blackness,
Mm-hmm.
which I've learned since then is bullshit. And anyone that wants to test me in that, I'm glad to talk to them about that. But I went down this spiritual journey trying to figure out what's going on. I remember I took a world religions class when I was in high school. I really dug a lot of Eastern religions. I think it's because I grew up in California and everything was like really hippy-dippy, earthy type stuff. And there was a lot of progressive stuff going on there, let's just say, right? And so I became a Buddhist for a while. I actually went to Southeast Asia by myself and studied with a few different monks all throughout Southeast Asia, meditating with them and things like that. And that was a really cool experience. Meditation is great. I'm a Christian now, but I still meditate. I think meditation is one of those practices that it doesn't matter what religion you are. I think there's a stigma within Western religion sometimes with meditation because Buddhists and Hindus, people that are Buddhist or Hinduism, have really taken it as, it's like Christian prayer, right?
Mm-hmm.
But went down that path for a while and then made my way back to Christianity. And I'm not going to get into the details of that, but the important thing for that was within the last year, I got baptized again. I was baptized when I was a baby, but I don't really consider that being baptized because I didn't know what the hell was going on. But I got rebaptized as an adult, professing my faith to Jesus and Christianity. And for me, that's been the game changer.
Yeah.
Because my coach told me one time, I was really struggling with a business decision. He was like, Ace, let me ask you a question. Is it okay if I ask you this question? I was like, yeah. He's like, Ace, are you smarter than God? That was the easiest question ever to answer. I was like, well, of course I'm not smarter than God. I didn't create the universe. Like, I'm just one person in a world of few billion people. And he's like, well, then why are you acting like it? Because at that time I was really struggling with this business decision. And it just hit me like Godsmack. I was just like, holy shit. Like, I'm trying to control things that I don't have control over. And so a big thing in Christianity is just giving it to God. All the weight on me, all the stuff that I put on myself, like, just give it to him. He's going to carry it. And that, in addition to other few things, like, people think Christianity is very restrictive. Like, you can't get drunk. You can't sleep with a woman until you're married. There's all these rules. And I'm reading the book of Timothy actually right now, which talks a lot about those rules. But I think it's the same thing like we talked about earlier. Like, the reason why Christianity wants you to follow these rules, whether you agree with them or not, is they will take you down a spiritual life that you are going to ultimately be happier and disciplined, and it's not going to be easy. In Christianity, it sucks because so many Christians are, well, I'll take this part of the Bible as my truth, but I'm going to ignore this part of it. It's like, no, you can't pick or choose. Like, you got to take the whole thing. And trust me, there have been many, many things that have happened in my life that I'm just like, fuck, I can't do what? Or I have to do this? And we can get into the semantics of how man has created ridiculous things, because certain Christian sections or sects or whatever you want to call them have like pretty ridiculous rules, I would say. So,
Well, the New Testament is exactly freedom because he accepts us all if we're a believer.
yeah, but in the book of James, they talk about faith without works is dead. So you still got to do the work.
Absolutely.
First, you got to accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior, and that he takes all your sins away. That's the faith part of it. And Paul's really big on that. But then James says, well, you can talk the talk, but you got to walk the walk.
For sure. Yeah.
And I think that's so much, to me, that's how I align my life is how do I walk as a Christian man? And by living with a high moral standard like this, when the situation comes up, we talked about preparation earlier. When the situation comes up for morality, now I have a playbook that I get to go to, a foundation that I've set, that if something immoral, an immoral choice, whether it's business, personal life, anything, now I get to make the decision. I get to fall back on my training. So being trained as a Christian man, when those moral situations come up, now I'm equipped to be able to handle those and handle it the right way and be at peace with what I choose through that. Like, I stopped watching pornography about 18 months ago, which has been great. But I took it a step further. I also said, all right, I'll stop watching pornography, but also what I'll stop doing is everything from the waist down is a no-hand zone for me. I haven't masturbated in 18 months.
Yeah.
Don't need to. And, you know, when you don't do things like that, just take it from a biological standpoint. Like, all that energy, I get to release it now in other ways, whether it's working out, creativity, all of those things.
Definitely.
And I'm not addicted to that anymore, because I was addicted to it, whether I could tell myself all day long that I wasn't, but I was. And now when I'm with a woman, you would think I'd be like, oh shit, like all I'm thinking about is sleeping with her. No, it's the opposite. Like, I actually can spend time with women, and that's not the first thing on my mind. I can actively listen. I can be present with them. I don't have to sleep with every woman that I go. You would think that if you didn't masturbate or watch pornography, you would just be like a freaking fiend.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's a detox period, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, oh man, these curtains look really sexy right now.
Oh, look at those two buns. Oh.
Yeah.
But like,
burger.
What is it? Does the rug match the curtains? But so I know we're talking about spirituality, and somehow, for the guy who doesn't masturbate or watch pornography or have a girlfriend right now, I'm the one that keeps bringing up sex stories.
yeah, it's so funny.
I just find them funny.
Well, the thing is, though, is that you have control of your emotions, and that's where people will get in trouble. Like, if they, like, when you say you don't masturbate, like, you have all, like, you can put it out into your energy into other ways. You have control of that yourself, but a lot of other people will not have control over that.
Well, it's I choose to not give my power up anymore. We were talking about taking control of your life. I think men these days give their power away very easily.
Mm-hmm.
And masturbating to pornography, that's giving your power away.
Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, well, I talked about with vaping, like nicotine vaping, like giving the power away. Like, I had that little plastic thing this big, had so much control over my life.
Yeah.
And I hated that. I hated that.
Yeah.
And like, I was just like, I'm like, you know what? Fuck this. Like, I'm taking control of this. This is my life. This is my decision. Like, why the fuck is this little thing taking control of what I do?
Yeah.
I hated it.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Breathe
it's
air.
crazy.
Andrew Tate. But yeah, and going like with spirituality, like, so I'll tie it in. So when we watched the Sound of Freedom, that movie about sex trafficking with children, in my mind I was reflecting on that and all of those people that are involved with that kind of thing.
Mm.
I wholeheartedly believe that they are the devil. They have the devil inside them.
Yeah.
That's a fact. For me, there's no other way around it. Children are our most precious thing.
Mm-hmm.
So if they are the devil, and there is the devil,
Yeah.
that means there has to be a God. There's no other way. If there's just a devil, that there's no God.
Yeah.
There has to be a God.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was just one of that was literally last night. I had this whole
Really?
Yeah, well, we watched it last night. I mean, I had
Sure.
this whole reflection. Like, I grew up Catholic as well. I grew up resenting it. So same thing with Drew, I believe, right? Yeah, just like having to go to church.
Yeah.
We're kids. It's hard to, sit still and listen to.
Yeah, it's forced
really,
upon you too at that point.
It's hard to listen to shitty music on the freaking Orca or whatever, like the
Yeah.
orchestra. Yeah, so it's just there's a little resentment there. You hate doing it. You're a kid. You want to go play shit like that.
Yeah.
But and then it turned into I don't believe in God. There's nothing out there
Mm-hmm.
for the longest time.
Yeah.
But getting into this, tapping into my spiritual self, which I never did, is where it really started to turn for me with, believing. Because a lot of people will not believe in something they can't see. It has to be in front of them.
That's faith. Yeah.
And there's no, yeah, exactly. And that's where, my faith is really starting to come in.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a book, it's The 7 Spiritual Laws of Success. I think it's the only spiritual book that I've read, but
Yeah, and there's God
it's
in
a
there.
great one.
He literally talks about God.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's
But
one of the things that it says is like I don't care about anyone else's thoughts. I care
Mhm.
about God's thoughts.
right. Yeah.
And that's like your intuition,
Mhm.
in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. Like all the little things, like the pure potentiality, the law of karma, the law,
Detachment, giving it up.
the law of detachment, the law of giving and receiving, the
Yep.
universe. Like
Mhm.
that's that's so true. Because
Yep.
like, if I fuck up on something, or like I know that I could have done better on something, or I messed up, the universe is going to come back and bite me on it.
Mm-hmm.
And when it does, and it has, I'll be like, you know what? I know where that's from. It's karma.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm more
Every
aware of it.
action has a reaction.
I'm more aware of it. And then
Yep.
I'm like, all of this shit is just making so much sense.
For sure.
So much more clarity with everything.
Mhm.
And it's just one book. It's how many pages? 100 pages?
Yeah.
Something like that?
Maybe.
Oh, dude,
Maybe
it's
100.
easy.
Yeah.
Easy
It's a
read.
great read. It's super easy.
Oh,
I
yeah.
totally recommend it. And then Untethered Souls, which is what I'm going to get into next.
Yeah.
You told me to. I'm going to get
Mhm.
into that next. Or I'm going to get
sure.
into his book and then that book. But yeah, like, and then what you said too also is that God is inside you. When you said that, the first time I heard it, I was like, what the hell are you talking about? It's like,
Yeah.
I don't get it. I don't
Sure.
understand. But now, I mean, I know what you're talking about
Mhm.
because going back to seeing the devil, those child sex predators,
Yeah.
all of that sex trafficking, like those are the devil right there. But guess what? The people who are faithful, they have God inside them. Those are the warriors, the people that are protectors,
God's soldiers.
God's soldiers of, our most sacred thing, which
Yeah.
is children,
Yep.
our children. We are the motherfuckers that are going to kill that devil.
Mm-hmm.
We have that inside us.
Yep.
Just getting like beyond the point of anger when we look at that.
Mm.
Like we have to destroy that.
Yeah.
That they can't be here.
Mm-hmm.
So there's two. It's yin and yang. We
Yep.
have two opposites here. That means that that's when I started to really reflect on, there is God inside of us.
For sure. Yeah, one of my favorite lines in that movie is God's children are not for sale.
Yeah.
Love that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, dude, I totally agree with pretty much what both of you really said. I mean, spirituality is the art of connecting with your higher self, the art with connecting with the universe or God. That's what it is,
Mhm.
you know. And when you can tap into that, I mean, that means you can tap into your highest frequency. You can become, you could reach your full potential. That's what it's all about.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I've dove into Christianity and given myself up to Jesus, and it's probably the most powerful thing I've ever done. And you feel like you're a part of something because it's so big and so many people worship the same exact thing.
It's more than you.
Yeah, and all these things we're talking about with mindset and discipline and purpose, when you dive into Christianity, it almost like translates itself, like from mindset to the Bible. Like it's almost the same thing. It's just God's word. You know what I mean? So I think there's like different ways that God kind of gets in contact with us.
Mhm.
It's not always Christianity, but when it goes into Christianity and you can like put all your attention and direct it towards that, I don't know. In my experience, it feels so much more powerful. Feels like home.
Mm-hmm. Me and Drew talked about this. I don't know if you want to elaborate what Mike Tyson said about this. If you remember what we were talking about. About
last night.
Yeah. Mike Tyson's quote.
You gotta use his voice when you quote him. Hey guys.
My Tyson.
Spirituality is amazing.
I'm gonna be honest, dude. I completely forget what I said.
It was where he was talking about shit. I'm forgetting now too. It was a great thing that you said. It was about where people when they're about to die, they're on their deathbed, or if they're have a near death experience.
Yeah. How he said whether you were an atheist or a Christian or whatever religion you were, when you come to the end of your life and like you're dying or you're about to die, everyone says, "Oh, God help me. God, give me just more time. Yeah. God, give me this." And it's like, well, it's it. I guess in a way it's kind of a way of saying like, like God is inside of us. Like, you know what I mean? Like whether you believe or not, he's still always stuck in you. And in your final moments, you're begging, asking him for something.
By the way, this isn't just a thing that we're saying. This is actually proven in studies. People have done actual clinical studies on this when people are about to die. And that's one of the most common things that happens.
Yeah, I mean, for example, like Nash, he just went to the hospital. Now he's asking everyone to pray for him. Mm-hmm. He's not like a super religious person. He's not praying before he eats his dinner or anything like that. You ask to get rescued when you need to get rescued.
Right.
It's just almost like an instinct.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But that's kind of a good point. Like, we want to get rescued by God, and we want to continue to get rescued by Him. And I just went to church this past week with Ace, and it was kind of about rescued. You can get rescued by God, but then you don't want to continually get rescued. You want to get reclaimed by Him, if that makes sense. Does that make sense?
Can you elaborate a little?
Yeah, I mean, so say you get rescued, then you go back to sin, and now you can't get reclaimed. Now you have to get rescued again.
Right.
You know what I mean? So once so you stay on that path of being rescued, and then you get reclaimed, but you have to stay on that path of the Christian way or whatever you believe in. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Right. Ace can probably explain it a lot better than me.
Well, reclaimed essentially means it's being rescued but being transformed through the process.
Right.
So it's like a drug addict who gets sober. He gets sober, gets clean, but then goes back to his former life when he gets out. And then or someone who goes to prison or something for whatever reason, stealing cars, selling drugs, whatever. That's the point of prison, is to rehabilitate you, to reclaim you. And so that's what Zach was talking about we're reading the book of Ezra right now, and it talks about the difference between being rescued and reclaimed. And so reclaimed just essentially just means you're being transformed in the process of being rescued. Because how many people are rescued by modern medicine, because they're overweight? You probably see it all the time.
Oh yeah.
But they don't change their diet, so they get liposuction or
gastric bypass.
Yeah, but they don't change their ways. They're still doing
it actually
the same
makes it
thing.
worse.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. So, one thing I want to talk about, and this kind of goes back to our whole training thing, the perspective that I changed on my life, and I read the book of Ephesians a lot, and specifically, I think it's chapter 6. There's a section that Paul writes called the whole armor of God. And it's like I put on my spiritual clothes every morning, just like I put on my shoes and my socks and my pants and my underwear. I read this one passage about, essentially, it talks about that we're not in a battle against flesh and blood, but we're in a battle against spiritual darkness and evil in the world. And it talks about the ways you can put on your armor of God, essentially. And I read that most mornings. And because I know that there is a battle between good and evil in this world, the sex trafficking, that is pure evil. But even people that you deal with, people that are short-tempered, that you get frustrated with, that try to cheat you, it takes me going through my divorce, my ex-wife. By reading that, it took me out of the context of that person isn't evil, but there is evil working within them or upon them, whether they realize it or not. And so that gets me to separate myself from seeing people or getting upset during my divorce or getting upset with people that cut me off or that act short with me. Now, sex trafficking, I'm not going to condone that.
Yeah.
Trust me, those motherfuckers deserve everything they get. And yeah, if I saw a kid get pulled into a car, you better bet your ass I'm jumping in that fucking car if I'm able to. But the perspective that changed a lot for me when we talk about like working out and eating healthy and me following a very strict Christian path is if you believe there's an afterlife, and I think everyone here, I think, can agree that there is a God and there is something more than just the 80, 90, 100 years we get on this planet. Well, what if us being put here, since we have souls and spirits and all of that, we've come from somewhere, we're here now, and we're going to be somewhere, after this. What if you took it as in like, this is preparation, like this life, we were born not knowing anything, but we got to figure out what the meaning of life is. And what if the meaning of life is this is a training ground, a preparation ground for what's next? And the people that fuck it up, maybe they get reincarnated, or maybe they go to hell, or maybe they just get to live an afterlife of nothingness, of not being able to get into that battle of good and evil. Because I think we can all agree that there is a battle between good and evil. So what if life was just preparation for after this? So the minute my heart stops working and I go up to heaven or wherever I go, I get to go in front of Jesus or God or whomever, and then God tells me, Matthew, Ace, you good and humble servant, I want you to be by my side to fight evil in eternity. Then I think all the preparation I do here, working out, eating well, treating people with respect, protecting my family, protecting my loved ones, my community, the fighting for good is just training for the afterlife. And when you start to view life like that, then certain things like gambling, going to Las Vegas, and trust me, I've been to Las Vegas probably all you guys combined, plus more. But what if you viewed life like that? How would that change things, right?
Yeah, going to the 100-day challenge and your why behind that 100-day challenge, the why that you went into it with, with your soul, like you actually believed that if you didn't conquer that challenge, that you would lose your soul.
Yeah. If I can't wake up at 5:30 for 100 days and go work out and take cold showers and do the things that I said I was going to do and be inconvenienced for 100 days, if I can't stay committed to that, then why the hell would God want me by his side to fight pure evil, right? Like, it was just 100 days. 100 days goes by in a flash.
Absolutely.
And so, yeah, there was not a lot to gain. Well, obviously I would keep my soul, but there was a whole lot more to lose, right?
Yeah.
By just staying committed to what I had to do. And if you have leverage like that, and you believe it, because it could have been easy for me to be like, nobody's gonna know. Well, I'll know. He'll fucking know. That's
When you're on your deathbed,
yeah,
you'll have that regret.
Yeah.
You don't want to die with regrets.
Yeah.
You don't.
Yeah.
I've seen it.
Yeah.
It's not what you want. It's sad. It's really sad.
Yeah.
But I love that. Like, I feel like a lot of people will believe that they have a soul, but there's no belief of where that soul goes. And I'm like I was that way as well. Like I knew like I have a soul. Like when you think with your heart instead of your brain. Well, your heart is your soul. Right?
Mhm.
Would you agree?
Yeah.
Well, if you die, does that soul just disappear with your physical body? I don't think so. There's no way. Because it's more than just a physical
Well,
thing.
think of it this way: people that have died and have come back, they still experience things actually even more vividly than when they were alive, and there's zero brain activity.
Mm.
So I said earlier about how I felt like when you died, everything went black. That the mind creates, or that the brain creates the mind. The brain creates our identity, our consciousness. Well, how do you explain for people that have died and they've experienced so many things, whether it's a flash of their entire life or they see themselves like in something that's quote unquote like heaven or whatever? Like, how do you explain that? They're still experiencing things. They're still getting memories. There is literally zero brain activity because they're dead. 10 minutes, 15 minutes, however long it is. And then they come back. And so, yeah, I'm with you. When you die, body dies, brain dies, but the mind is not the consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
Does not, that it is energy, and that it, who the hell knows where it goes, but it goes somewhere.
Yeah, it's funny. We think that we know everything as humans.
Yeah.
We think we know a lot. Man, we know Jack.
Don't know
Yeah.
shit,
We know
buddy.
ChatGPT
nothing.
knows more than us.
Coming out with the next version. Yeah. Well, like,
Do they have stocks, by the way, for AI stocks yet?
I don't know.
I have no
That's a good
idea.
point.
I don't follow.
We got to look into that.
Yeah.
I'm not a stock guy, but
Yeah.
I want to get
No,
some
definitely.
AI
Yeah.
stocks.
But like, when people like look up, like when you look up, you think of heaven, right? Heaven's up,
Mhm.
hell is down.
Right.
Well, when we look up and it's like, well, there's a bunch of stars and a bunch of planets. That's it. There's nothing else out there.
Mm.
Well, how the fuck do we know that? Because we know nothing about the universe.
Yeah.
Nothing. 99.99% of it is still unknown. We don't even know if there's other things out there.
True.
So, I don't know. It's just hard.
There's so many questions.
Yeah.
And you'll never get the answers to those questions.
You won't. You won't. Mm-mm. But that's where faith comes in.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Drew, what do you think about all this?
I don't know. It's a good conversation. It's a good one to listen to.
Yeah.
Nah, I mean, I'll keep it short, but I don't really have too much of an opinion because I'm kind of still just going through my own journey right now, and I kind of just soak stuff in like this whenever it gets talked about. You know,
Yeah.
I'm open to it all, but I have my own processes and my own life experiences that I need to go through, and I'm not gonna force anything. Whatever happens, happens.
Sure.
And I'm not gonna force myself to think a certain way or
Mhm.
believe in something. Just I just gotta
Yeah.
I just gotta get through it. This is
Definitely.
it's just a phase that I'm going through, that I've been going through, but it's kind of like the tail end,
Yeah.
kind of just like a what's next kind of thing.
Definitely can't force it.
Yeah, that's
No.
a key word. You can't force it. It doesn't work like that. You can seek it, you can't force it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I feel like that's like one of my strengths. Is like I don't force fucking anything, dude.
Mm-hmm.
I just whenever it happens, it happens.
Right.
It's very spiritual of you, actually.
Maybe
Turning it.
yeah.
It is actually.
Yeah, it's just, I used to meditate and, do all that stuff. And it's something I've kind of gotten away from a lot over the last couple months. But I realized, like, and it's not a bad thing, but I've realized literally nothing about my life has changed because I stopped. So I'm like, maybe I don't need to do it. You know what I mean? Like, I still feel like tapped in, so to speak, and just the way I think, the way I act, and my emotions. I have full control over my emotions.
Mm-hmm.
I let things go very easily. Things don't really get to me much, but there's still just kind of like a what if, and it's like when that answer comes, I'll be ready for it.
Yeah.
You
I would
know?
argue that you do meditate because, I mean, you go on a hour, 2 hour run without headphones.
That is meditation.
I would say that's a form
That
of
is
meditation.
absolutely meditation.
What do you think, Ace?
I'd agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
Because your mind is clear of anything. You're only
Yeah.
doing one thing, which is running, but there's no other distractions. There's nothing. I mean, it's not like sitting down with absolutely nothing,
Yeah, it's a different form.
Yeah.
but it's still a way of you tapping into your own mind without any distractions whatsoever. Because when you run, I mean, you're really not only focusing on, I mean, you are focused on running, but it's like, it's more of just you're letting your thoughts run and you're catching your own thoughts,
Yeah.
you know?
No, yeah. Because- No, I've definitely said that before. Like, I definitely get the most clarity when, like, I'm running and stuff.
Shout out Nick Bear. He said that. Love that.
Oh, shit. Yeah, shout out, buddy. But, yeah, I don't... But just in terms of, like the whole religion thing, I totally get it. I'm not against it. And I'm not all for it either, just for me. I'm not going to knock on other people for it. I'm just in a space right now. I don't know, dude.
Just letting it
I'm
be.
just kind of figuring it out, you know?
Yeah.
I'm not going to rush it. I don't need an answer tomorrow.
Mm.
You know, it'll happen when it happens. When it does, I'll be ready.
Yeah.
You know, it's just one of those things.
Definitely.
Well, I mean, yeah, like you're in control of your emotions.
Mhm.
You're in control of, what your thoughts are. I mean, you understand, like, when you have a thought, you know what to do with it.
Yeah.
But I mean, for me, like with writing, like I've been since the Mission Mindset Adventure, I've been journaling. Almost, I got away for like 6 days. Like I had a 6-day thing, but like where I didn't do it. But I've been very consistent as of recently as well. Like I've been doing it for it's been a month now, and like I do a gratitude thing. It's something very, very easy, right? In the morning, or if I'm coming from a night shift, I'll do 5 things. 5 things I'm grateful for. Very, very simple, very easy. But I've always been a grateful person. I mean, that's what this tattoo means. I got this when I was like, 19, 20.
Yeah.
So I've always been, the most important thing for me is gratitude. However, by writing it down and visualizing and seeing it and really focusing on one thing at that one time, which is my gratitude,
Yeah.
has helped 10 times compared to just me thinking of, I'm like, oh, well, today's a good day. I'm like, I'm breathing, I'm living, just being grateful for being alive. But when I write it down, it's different. It's really different. Like I wrote down, it was just like a couple weeks after the Mission Mindset Adventure, just one time. I think I wrote down like 8 things I was grateful for. But in that moment, I just felt everything, an emotion that came over me. I started crying right then and there in my kitchen, sitting there by myself, not doing anything, normal day.
Right.
But by writing stuff down and really reflecting on it, like I just kind of like let the emotion come, and it came. It's just it's very different for me, at least from my experience.
Yeah.
And it's great that you're in control of all that and you know what you're thinking and what to do with your thoughts. But for me, it's very, very different. Just writing things down. It's helped out tremendously.
It's awesome.
That's
Right.
all good, bro. I'm just fucking with you.
I love you guys.
We don't actually care.
I love you, boys. We're out.
Later.